Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something we constantly hear about, but let's be real, is incredibly difficult to actually do: staying anchored in the present moment. I mean, amidst the sheer chaos of modern life, our minds are literally always racing, right? We're agonizing over what happened yesterday or obsessing over what's going to happen tomorrow. So we're going to unpack the absolutely profound teachings from Eckhart Tolle's game changer of a book, The Power of Now. We're going to decode the invisible forces that literally keep us trapped inside our own heads. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to kick things off with this really powerful parable about a beggar. Imagine this guy sitting on an old box for 30 years, asking every passerby for spare change. One day, a stranger walks by, and instead of giving him a coin, asks, "Hey, what's that you're sitting on?" The beggar says, "Oh, just an old box." The stranger pushes, "Well, have a look inside." Reluctantly, the beggar pries open the lid and boom, it's filled to the brim with solid gold. He'd been sitting on it the whole time. Now, this isn't just a charming little story. It's kind of the whole shebang of This Explainer. We spend our entire lives begging for little scraps of happiness and validation from the outside world, completely oblivious to the massive wealth of joy and peace that's already sitting right there inside of us. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the beggar's hidden treasure. Then, we're tackling the trap of overthinking. Third, you're going to meet your pain body. That sounds intense, I know. Fourth, awakening to the now. And finally, we'll wrap up with real-world mindfulness. Let's jump right into section 1, the beggar's hidden treasure, and see how we can discover the wealth within. So this brings us to Eckhart Tolle himself, and his story is absolutely fascinating. Before he was this serene, spiritual teacher with a massively credible book, I mean, Oprah picked it for her book club and said it fundamentally shifted her life, he was actually in a really dark place. In his 20s, he was dealing with intense suicidal depression and just continuous heavy anxiety. But then, one night, the suffering got so unbearable that something in him just snapped. He literally had to withdraw from his own deeply fearful, mind-made self. And the craziest thing happened. He woke up the next morning feeling absolute, pristine peace. Oprah was actually so blown away by this transformation that she said it shifted her whole perspective from constantly doing to simply being. Moving right along to section 2, the trap of overthinking, or as I like to call it, the voice that literally never stops. You know that famous quote from Descartes, "I think, therefore I am"? Well, Tolle actually argues that this is the most basic human error we make. We've totally equated our thinking with our actual existence. Because almost everyone walks around with this constant mental noise, we just accept it as normal. But honestly, it's an addiction. Sure, the mind is a fantastic tool when you're focusing on a specific task, like a math problem or whatever. But the real issue pops up when the mind starts using us. When we can't find the off switch, we end up completely trapped in this self-created illusion, totally cut off from the actual joy of the present moment. It really comes down to this massive dissonance between our mind-made ego and what Richard Rohr beautifully calls the deepest me. See, the ego is essentially just the story we tell ourselves about who we are. And here's the catch. The ego is absolutely terrified of the present moment. Think about it. To the ego, the past is what gives you an identity, and the future is where you'll finally find fulfillment. It needs drama and problems just to survive. But in stark contrast to that, your deepest me, your true essence, is totally formless. It's anchored right here in the now, feeding on peace and connection. All right, let's head into section 3, meet your pain body. We're talking about the emotional residue of past hurt. Okay, so this is one of Tolle's most fascinating concepts, because none of us make it through childhood without picking up some emotional bumps and bruises, right? That unhealed residue actually accumulates inside us, forming what Tolle calls the pain body. He describes it kind of like a golem-like gremlin living inside you. Seriously, it's this semi-autonomous energy field. Sometimes it's asleep and you feel perfectly fine, but eventually it gets hungry. And its absolute favorite food? More pain, more negativity, more drama. When it wakes up, it completely overtakes your mind and distorts how you interpret the present moment just to generate the negativity it needs to feed itself. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen your partner transform into a completely different, almost unrecognizable person over like one minor comment? We have all been there. You're having a totally normal Tuesday. Someone says one innocent little thing and boom, a switch flips. Suddenly, the person you love is hostile or defensive or saying the exact thing they know will hurt you the most. Well, what's going on there? Their pain body has taken over, and it's trying to trigger your pain body. It literally wants you to react emotionally so it can gobble up all that delicious drama. It's this wild, unconscious contract of misery. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, Awakening to the Now, and how we actually go about disarming this monster within. So how do we fix this vicious cycle? Tolle gives us a highly practical toolkit, especially for couples. Step 1, you make a conscious agreement with your partner to look out for the pain body. But, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to do this while you're calm. Actually, scratch that. Don't ever try to reason with an active pain body. It's literally impossible. But when things are peaceful, agree to gently point it out if it emerges. If they start spiraling, you just say, hey, I think your pain body is waking up. The hardest part for you, though, you have to stay intensely present. You cannot take the bait. If you don't react, their pain body gets absolutely no food, and it eventually just has to go back to sleep. The ultimate antidote here is to just watch the thinker without any judgment. Carl Jung used to say that until you make the unconscious conscious, it's going to direct your life and you'll just call it fate. To beat the pain body and all that incessant chatter, you literally just have to observe it. When a negative emotion pops up, don't fight it. Don't labor it as bad. Just watch it. Say to yourself, oh, okay, there is anger. The crazy thing is, the exact moment you realize you aren't being present, boom, you are present. You've successfully stepped back into the seat of the observer. Now for our final section, Section 5, Real-World Mindfulness. Let's talk about bringing this stillness down to earth. You might be wondering, do I need to go live in a cave to do this? Absolutely not. There is a huge difference between external quiet and internal presence. Tolle actually tells this great story about a casino dealer in Las Vegas. She was dealing with extreme noise, drunks, total chaos, and Tolle told her that's actually the ultimate spiritual practice right there. He contrasted her with a Buddhist monk who meditated in total isolation in a Thai mountain hut for 6 months, feeling perfectly at peace. But the second that monk had to go into a busy city to renew his visa, and he ended up waiting in the wrong line for 2 hours, he totally lost it, erupted in anger, started shouting the whole thing. The takeaway here? A quiet monastery doesn't guarantee peace, and a chaotic casino doesn't prevent it. It's all an inside job. So how do we apply this? By using really simple, everyday anchors. Tolle makes this crucial distinction between your life situation, which is your job, your bills, your relationship drama, all that heavy baggage, and your actual life, which is the vital energy pulsing through your veins right at this very second. To connect with that life, you just take a conscious breath. Just feel the subtle energy in your hands right now. Look at a tree without immediately naming the species in your head. These tiny little moments act as portals. They pull you out of the frantic mind and anchor you in the vivid reality of right now. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this classic Cherokee parable. A wise grandfather tells his grandson about a terrible battle raging inside him between 2 wolves. One is evil, its ego, anger, regret, sorrow. The other is good, its presence, joy, peace, humility. The little boy looks up and asks, well, which wolf is going to win? And the grandfather simply says, the one you feed. Guys, every single day, with every thought we grab onto, we're making a choice. So will you step out of the illusion of your mind and anchor yourself in the vibrant aliveness of right now? Let's see what happens when we finally stop feeding the pain. Thanks for joining me on this one.